Hey guys and girls, today I'm going to start a video. I don't know how far I'll get, but I wanted to talk a little bit about wiring and electricals and important things on the Bug, like the headlights and the taillights. What it is I'm looking into why I've been having dim headlights and probably tail lights. You know, I've got these, as you can see, these snowflake units on this 1959 Bug in the front. And by the way, I've not done anything to these. They're stock, for better or for worse. In the front of the car, I've tried to upgrade the headlights. I don't know if you can see it or not, but with these H2 bulbs inside of housings, and I just never was satisfied with the lighting. I've been having to ride around basically with my high beams on at night just to get enough light to come out, you know, shine onto the road and stuff. So got me thinking, I wanted to maybe start diagnosing what's going on and come up with a fix for some of this. So I'll say more about that in a minute, but what I want to do is just start checking. I want to make sure, you know, as a general rule of thumb, make sure that the voltage that the battery delivers, and this assumes a charged battery, which when the car is running, it's putting out over 14 volts with the alternator charging it. I want to make sure that voltage exists at the point of or at the electrical connection of the headlights. In other words, the little blocks that the headlight wiring plugs into, and also the tail lights, because what can happen is in a car this old, you'll have some resistance and some oxidized connections and things like that. And so what the net effect is, your headlights and or your tail lights will not be as bright as they should be due to parasitic voltage losses in some of the wiring. I want to make sure that the battery voltage is what's being delivered to the headlights and the tail lights. And to do that, there's some work involved. So what we'll start with here is we will just check the battery both with and without the car running to see what the voltage is, and then get the same reading at the headlights and the tail lights to see what's actually making it out to each of those components of the car. So stay with me, and hope you find this useful. More in a few. Thanks. Okay, so we're in the car right now, and the thing I'm going to start with is, just like I said, measuring the battery voltage with the car turned off and then with it on. And so right now, here's my multimeter. I got it set on the DC AC volts reading. I got my positive lead hooked up to the red, and now we're looking at putting the negative on there, and I'm seeing 12.44 volts. What I want to do is go to the back of the car and see what's making it to the end of the car and go from there. The way this car is wired, and probably some other Volkswagens too, the positive lead exits under the rear seat, goes back to a post on the starter, and then from the starter it goes up to the alternator or generator if that's what you have, and from there it feeds out to the rest of the car. So let's go see what we've got in the back and compare it to what's in the car now with the car turned off. Remember, 12.44 volts. Alright, so here we are at the back of the car, and I'm just measuring the feed through from the inside of the car down to the starter and then up to the alternator post. Got my multimeter on there. Sorry about the glare, it's the sunlight. So we're grounding on the distributor clamp. Let's check the post on top of the, let's measure the voltage with respect to the distributor clamp at the top of the alternator. So I see 12.44, which is the same thing we got inside the car. So far so good. We're not seeing any voltage loss. And what we're going to do next is go to the front of the car, because the wiring on this car, again, every car is different, but from the battery, the battery voltage feeds to the starter post. From the starter post, it feeds to the alternator. From the alternator, it goes to the front of the car, up into the headlight switch. So we're going to go check the voltage that's at the headlight switch in a moment here. And again, this is with the car turned off, just getting our baseline. All right, just a second. Okay, now we're up at the front of the car, and we're going to take a reading of the volts at the headlight switch. And I don't know if you can see it or not. Right there is my headlight switch. And this lead that I'm pointing at with the yellow on it, that's the positive feeding from the back of the car. We're going to set that on there. I've got an alligator clamp clamped to the flasher housing, which is a ground source. So we're going to compare the headlight switch against the voltage with respect to ground. Going to see what our meter says, and it says 12.45, which is in range. There's 12.44 briefly. That is in range of what the battery is reading, so we're still not seeing any fault or any kind of loss in the system that would prevent the full battery voltage making it out to the headlights and taillights. So what we'll do next is we'll look in the plug of the headlight and see what's being delivered to the headlight plug. All right, just a second. All right, so what I'm doing next is measuring the voltage at the plug for the headlights, and there it sits. I've got the meters of the probe, the probes of the meters inserted into the plug, and on my digital multimeter I'm seeing 10.9 volts, which is significantly less than the 12.44 or so being delivered by the battery. So we have a problem. That's what we want to look to address. And I'll show you my plan, at least for the headlights, in a moment here. So 1 second. Okay, so as seen, we're not getting the battery voltage at the headlights, and that's going to result in, at least among other things, the dim headlights that I'm now experiencing. So that's the problem, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't have a, hopefully, good solution to this problem. So you might ask, what am I going to do about that? Well, I decided to go with what some others have done and run an alternate bit of wiring, basically giving the headlights a straight through connection, and later when I check the tail lights I can hopefully apply this, something similar there, but a straight through connection from the battery to the headlights through a set of relays. And I've got two relays here. One is for the low beam circuit and the other is for the high beam. And basically I'm using the old signal, the headlight switch, to trigger these relays rather than using it to power the lights. And so what I've done here is I've taken the headlight connector, connected the plug from this relay harness that I've got, and I can post a link to this in the informational section if anyone else is interested in trying this. But like I say, I'm using the old headlight circuit to trigger the relays. The relays have a straight through connection from the battery, and I right now have a rat's nest of wiring, but essentially this is just set up for testing. I'll clean it up later. these leads, these red leads coming in here are coming from the battery. And then I've run those through a 20 amp fuse to the rest of the circuit. You want to make sure you fuse this in case something were to go bad. You wouldn't end up burning up your wiring harness, or worse, your car entirely. So now with this solution in place, what I'm going to do is start the car and do some similar checks. You know, we've got the battery voltage, the volts at the battery, which should be more than the original reading, since the alternator will be switched on. Hopefully with its regulator it will be charging the battery. So I'm looking for 14 something odd volts at the battery with the car running, the same 14 at the rear of the car, and then up here in this headlight plug, the new headlight plug, I want to see something around 14 volts that will be delivered to the headlights, and that way I'm assured that I have the brightest headlights. And like I say, other people have better solutions or other solutions. Some people have had good luck cleaning up ground connections in the car, and I've tried that. You know, soldering the fuse leads, perhaps just removing any sketchy connections, you know, like clamp-on connections or something like that, to get better grounds and whatnot. But again, this is my solution, and we'll see how well and if it works. Stay tuned just a second. Alright, so we're inside the car, and I hope you can hear everything over the noisy engine. But with the car running, measuring at the battery as before, I've got about 14.2 volts. So I'm going to go to the back of the car, ensure we're getting something similar, and then go likewise up to the headlight switch, check for it there, and then finally at the headlight plugs. And keep in mind, this is with my straight through relay wiring, unlike before when the car was shut off. We were using the old headlight wiring. We were seeing a significant drop in the voltage. So 1 second, I'll check at the rear and then move forward. And now we're at the extremely noisy rear end of the car, and I'm taking the same reading from the distributor clamp for ground and the alternator post for the hot. See what I got here. What the battery's delivering. We're still good to go. Now let's go check at the headlight. Alright, so we're up at the front, and I'm again measuring. Got the ground clamped onto the connector for the turn signal relay, and hooking the hot lead up to the switch coming from the back of the car. Keep in mind there's a long run of wiring from the back to the front, and we're loading the circuit right now. We've got the headlight switch turned on, and the car is running, so other circuits possibly are drawing. But let's see what we've got on the meter here. We're looking for something around 14 volts, which is what the battery's delivering. Alright, we got 14.07, 14.08, which is, it's not the exact battery voltage, but it's close. We're not running the drop that we were before. I think we had 12 volts at the battery and 11 something actually being delivered to the headlights. So we're doing better now, but you know, this hasn't taken into account yet the relay setup that I've used to fix the headlights. Let's check at the headlight plug next and see what, if any, difference we have, and see how much voltage is actually making it to the plug. 1 second while I set up for that. Okay, we're measuring at the headlight plug, and again, we're no longer using the old wiring for the main connection to the headlights. We're now using that to trigger the relays, which have a feed straight through from the battery. And as you can see, we've actually got a higher voltage at the headlights than we had at the headlight switch. I'm not sure how that's possible, but we've got 14.2 volts, which is very close to what the battery is delivering. And I can't be happier with that. I'm going to, I don't think it's possible for me to give you a before and after of the headlight brightness, but I'm expecting that my headlights are going to be as bright as they possibly can now. I'm disconnecting. So I'll maybe put up a video later of the actual end results at the headlight, but for now, I think the main objective of this video, in my mind, has been met. In other words, I'm addressing the parasitic voltage losses that can happen in the old wiring on our Volkswagens, which we love, resulting in an unsafe condition. In this case, it's the headlights being dim. And we'll look at the taillights in another video, but for now, that's where I'm at, and I appreciate everyone watching. Hopefully you lasted with me till the end here. Let me know if you have any questions. And yes, again, I will be cleaning up the mess here. I wanted to get a test lab set up, and then I'll worry about the cleanup later. But I think I'm going to call the addition of the relays a success based on what I'm seeing. So let me know if you have any questions or comments. Hope you found this useful. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you feel this is helpful. And I'll have more content for you guys soon. Thanks. Take care, everyone. God bless. Okay, so what I thought I would do to wrap this up is let you guys see the part number for this relay harness in case you decide you want one. It is from a place called United Pacific, and this is sold through Summit Racing. They have 3 different item numbers. Mine is the one at the top, item number 34263, the H4 headlight relay harness. And the justification or the notes on this state, on most vehicles, the power to the headlights is routed from the battery through the vehicle wiring harness to the headlight switch, then back out to the headlights. This long route from battery to headlight causes a voltage drop and heat buildup, resulting in dim headlights and failure of headlamp switches. And so this is the answer to that problem. And here is a high-level overview of the way it works. At the bottom right, you've got the connector to original vehicle headlamp through the plug, and that feeds the rest of the circuit. So the signal from the original headlamp plug is no longer used to light the lights. It's only used to trigger the high and low beam relays. Those, as seen here, have a direct connection to the battery through the included fusible link wire. I've taken it a step farther, and in addition to the fusible links that came with the relay harness, I've added my own inline 20 amp fuses, as I showed you. So anyway, that is now used to provide a direct connection from the battery up to the headlights, and that's going to result in brighter headlights in most cases. So anyway, that's the scoop, and Again, I hope this is useful, and let me know if you have any questions or comments. Thanks.